Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Lesley Edgar and I'm the NICE Implementation Facilitator for Northern Ireland. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you the journey of the development of the NICE guideline for ME CFS. I'm just going to start with a reminder of who NICE is and what we do. So NICE stands for the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, and NICE balances the best care with value for money across the NHS and social care to deliver for both individuals and society as a whole. And we do this by providing rigorous, independent assessments of complex evidence to produce guidance and advice for health and social care practitioners. We develop recommendations that drive innovation into the hands of health and care professionals, and we do this by encouraging the uptake of best practice to improve outcomes for everyone. Our reason for existing is that we help practitioners and commissioners get the best care to people fast while ensuring value for the taxpayer. So where did this journey begin? So back in 2007, NICE published Clinical Guideline 53, and this was the first guideline for the management of ME CFS. NICE consulted with stakeholders in 2017 on a decision in which we proposed that no review was necessary at that time. Stakeholders responded to our consultation and we were made aware of the depth of feeling that exists about this condition and its treatment. In particular, there was a lack of consensus about the validity of the evidence base. The strong message we received from stakeholders was that this lack of consensus has meant that the current guideline was not doing what it should do for patients, and so it was no longer fit for purpose. We considered all comments and evidence that was submitted as part of the consultation, and as a result, we decided to carry out a full update. The committee was appointed by open recruitment in line with NICE's policy and procedure for recruitment and selection to advisory bodies. The resulting committee was balanced and reflected the range of stakeholders and groups whose experience, knowledge, activities, services or care were covered by the guideline. The composition of the topic-specific committee was also agreed by NICE. As a result of concerns raised with the appointments, we reviewed the appointments and we considered that they were appropriate and that any interest that the committee members had declared could be managed appropriately using a conflicts of interest policy. For this guideline, NICE increased the number of lay members, which are patient and patient representatives, who normally sit on guideline committees from 2 to 5, to reflect the importance of patient groups in ME CFS and to give people with a range of experience, such as different severities of illness, of carers and of young people with ME CFS, the opportunity to contribute. It is also important to note that the committee members all assessed the same information and evidence and were able to reach consensus on the resulting recommendations. This update had considered all of the relevant evidence, including that was published after the last guideline. In addition to the published evidence, additional qualitative work was undertaken to get the perspective of children and young people and people who are severely affected by ME CFS. A call for evidence was also undertaken to ensure the relevant qualitative evidence could also be considered. We commissioned interviews with children and young people and an online questionnaire for those severely affected as part of the guideline development process. By commissioning these projects, we tried to ensure that people who would not otherwise have been able to contribute to the development of the guideline, that's been the children and young people and those severely affected, were able to tell their story and help inform the new guideline. Our final guideline, NG 206, was published in October 2021. So NG 206 covers diagnosing and managing ME CFS in children, young people and adults. It aims to improve awareness and understanding about ME CFS and when to suspect it so that people are diagnosed earlier. It includes recommendations on diagnosis, assessment and care planning, safeguarding, access to care and managing the condition and its symptoms. It also makes recommendations were developed based on evidence reviews before the COVID pandemic. We have not reviewed evidence on the effects of COVID-19, so it should not be assumed that these recommendations apply to people diagnosed with post-COVID-19 syndrome. NICE has produced a guideline on managing the long-term effects of COVID-19. The guideline was commissioned by NICE and was developed at the National Guideline Centre, which is hosted by the Royal College of Physicians. The guideline itself is for health and social care professionals, including those working or providing input into educational and occupational health services. It's also for commissioners, and it's for people who are with suspected or diagnosed ME CFS, their families and carers and the public. The guideline recommendations cover when to suspect ME CFS and diagnosis, information support, including advice when the condition is suspected, assessment and care and support planning, safeguarding, access to care and support, managing ME CFS, symptom management, flare-ups and relapse, and care for people with severe or very severe ME CFS. What are the key messages then in the guideline? The guideline makes recommendations for providing appropriate support and rehabilitation, delivered in an individually tailored programme focused on personal goals agreed between the person living with the condition and those providing their care. It highlights that these programmes should combine a range of physical, cognitive and psychological approaches depending on the patient's preferences and priorities. Because of the harms reported in the evidence from patient experience, as well as the committee's own experience of the effects when people exceed their exercise limits, NICE has concluded that any programme based on fixed incremental increases in physical activity or exercise, for example, graded exercise therapy, should play no role in the treatment of ME CFS. The guideline recognises that ME CFS is a complex, multi-system, chronic medical condition, and there is no one-size-fits-all approach to managing symptoms. The recommendations in this guideline have been developed by an independent committee that was guided by not just the evidence, but also the experience and testimony of people with the condition. This guideline provides much-needed clarity and ensures that people with ME CFS have access to the right care and support throughout every stage of their journey. So where are we now in Northern Ireland? Well, NG 206 was published by NICE in October 2021 and endorsed by the Department of Health for implementation in Northern Ireland in January 2022. The implementation circular included recommendations for the Strategic Planning and Performance Group, Public Health Agency, Health and Social Care Trusts, the RQIA and Health and Social Care Special Agencies and non-departmental public bodies. And just finally, we know that 0.5 WTE funding has been allocated to Belfast Trust to provide an ME service on a regional basis with potential clinics in each trust area. However, as we've already mentioned tonight, progress is very much dependent on successful recruitment. So, thank you very much.